Did you know that childhood trauma can actually change the way your brain develops and impacts your emotions well into adulthood? I didn't know any of this until I started researching on my childhood trauma, reasons I do certain things. And in this video, we're going to explore how early trauma will affect brain function, emotional regulation, and how you can start healing and reclaiming your life. Trauma has a profound impact on both brain development and emotional patterns. I'm a registered nurse, and while I was in nursing school, we didn't really go into how trauma affected your brain or affected your life, especially when it happens in childhood. So now, though, that I've gone through therapy, I have learned so much about myself, physically and mentally. And I didn't realize why I couldn't remember a lot of my life, all the way from childhood I don't remember early childhood hardly at all, to the present. And I still have a hard time remembering certain things presently. But why my decision making skills were really bad and my emotions were dysfunctional. So when we experience trauma, especially during childhood, our brains are in this super influential state where it's like I said in my last video, it's like clay that's being shaped. And trauma can disrupt how certain parts develop, particularly like the part of the brain that's responsible for things like emotional regulation, decision making, and memory. So, for instance, I promise you I won't bore you with a bunch of medical terminologies. There's only three. The amygdala, which is like our brain's alarm system, that can become hyperactive. And this means that who's uh, experienced someone who's experienced trauma might be in a high alert, like all the time, even when there's no actual danger. I can definitely attest to this. And I just thought I was a really hyper person. I just thought that's the way I am. I've always been this way, and recently, like with my husband, not really recently, within the last 10, 15 years, he has really said to me, like, easy, calm down. There's not that big of a deal. My children, who are adults now, they are now even pointing that out. I mean, they just thought that was what was supposed to happen while they were growing up. But it's being brought to my attention more that I do get over overzealous, over excited over things that most people are very calm about. And the way I looked at it was, what is wrong with you people? You're so calm about it. Aren't you upset? Doesn't this bother you? And here it wasn't them. It was me. You know, I never thought twice that it could have been me, but it's really exhausting. I mean, I now know this. I still have a hard time reacting differently, but I do kind of stop now and step back a minute and go, okay, slow down. It's really not that bad, um, and take a different approach to it. So while all of that is going on, meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which helps us think things through and makes calm decisions, might not develop as strongly. And so this imbalance can make it harder to handle stress or regulate your emotions effectively. I have to really kind of chuckle because you just don't think about what happens to you in your childhood really, really forms who you are as an adult and how you act to things or react to things. But decision making, yeah, I can honestly say I probably could have been a little bit better at some of the decisions I made. I mean, we're all good. they say that you are who you are because of your past. And I don't have regrets. Um, I wish I would have, gone back or could go back and learn all these skills and tools that I share with you in my part 2 video. But I am who I am today because of my past. So I am more aware after doing this research and after through therapy learning these things, that I am more aware of my actions and how I handle situations now. And then there's the hippocampus. That is my last medical terminology. I'll bore you to death. But this is like our brain's filing system for memories. Trauma can actually shrink this area, making it tougher to process and store memories properly. And that's why people with trauma might have fragmented or intrusive memories. It's like they don't get filed away neatly. With my memory, like I had mentioned earlier, I I have a lot of memories of bad things that happened to me more than the good things. Like I'll be sitting around with siblings and they will say something like, "Oh my gosh, do you remember the time when this happened or you did this or that?" And I almost have to stop and say, I mean, I do say it, but I'm almost embarrassed to say, "No, I don't remember that." They'll look at me like, "What do you mean you don't remember this?" My brother has an incredible memory. He can remember almost every detail. And I also sometimes think that that is a person who has had childhood trauma. That's kind of the brain's way of protecting them as well. And a lot of times I think to myself, are my memories because of maybe pictures? Are they because I've heard stories that I might remember things more or not more, um, that I remember things at all? Emotionally, trauma can create patterns of fear, anxiety, or even withdrawal. And the brain learns to expect danger. So it stays in this fight, flight, or freeze mode, which can really influence how someone reacts to situations, even ones that seem safe to others. And I did mention that earlier. I react to things so differently than other people do. Um, Again, I always thought it was just more of a, oh, I'm just very dramatic in the way I react or the way I present myself. And again, I would say, like, what's wrong with you people? Why are you not getting upset over this? Why are you not excited over this? I also was really, really protective. I mean, we're all protective of our children, but I was overly protective. I was always, how do I say this? Suspicious of other people or suspicious of people's actions. I always had a good sixth sense, and my husband and my kids say that, like, "Mom, you are always really good about recognizing when people were trouble or where people were um, not to be trusted." But I sometimes think that is over exaggerated as well. Like, there's a part of me that is always right away jumping to the point that something isn't right. Oh, that can't be the way that is. No, that isn't the way it happened. Or second guessing certain situations. The good news, the brain is incredibly resilient and is capable of change. So that was really good to hear, even after trauma. So, therapy, mindfulness, and creating a safe, supportive environment can help rewire those pathways over time. And I have a video I'd love to share with you on the tools and strategies in healing. So it's like giving the brain a new tool to heal and function more smoothly. So while trauma shapes us, it definitely does not define us. If you know someone that could benefit from this video, please share it with them. And if you found this information helpful, like it, subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. And we'll see you next time on Real Talk Women Over 50.